Hey, what's up guys? So in this video, I want to talk to you guys about a question that was left in my previous video. So that question was regarding Christian and if he has intellectual disability. So the question was asked because in that video we were talking about trying to teach Christian more things academically, and we're talking about apps. So I did want to talk about this. So first things first, I think in this comment they compare my child with another child on social media, and that itself is easy to do. I understand that's probably not the best thing to do though, because it's a slippery slope to be comparing kids. I know as a mom I did that all the time when Christian first got diagnosed, and even to this day sometimes I will catch myself comparing. But I remember I want to talk about a little story about when I first started in the ABA field. One of the first things that caught my attention was how different every kiddo would pick up on things and how much faster it felt like they were picking up on things than my son. And they were all, just diagnosed with autism from what I could tell, from what I knew. So initially things that we were teaching Christian would take forever, it felt like, and a lot of times he wouldn't grasp it. And those same things that we were trying to teach my son, other kiddos that I worked with were getting it within like a week or that same day that they were being taught, and I just didn't understand why, So part of that is now I understand Christian has intellectual disability. And what that is I wrote down some notes from what I see on the internet, which, take it with a grain of salt, because I see one thing and then I see another thing and I'm like, which one is it? Like, what the heck? So to be diagnosed with intellectual disability, you have to have below average IQ. You have to lack this individual daily life skills. You need to lack pretty much like the cognitive part of things. So like understanding, having logic, practical skills, things like that. And there are different levels to this. And Christian, I would say, from what I remember, is on the severe side of autism and on the severe side of the intellectual disability diagnosis. So pretty much for him, what that implies is that things are harder for him. It doesn't imply that he's dumb or that he cannot learn. And it doesn't mean that all kiddos with autism have intellectual disability. That's a misconception. But my son does, and I'm sure a lot of you guys are out there, have seen videos and probably are like, wow, like Christian's just like my kid, or might be thinking the same thing, like, wow, it's taking forever for him to pick up on, like the AAC device or whatever it is. I know that one of the hardest things for him is imitation. And I would say it's because of his I would often say it's because of his apraxia. His gross motor planning is low. He struggles with that, but it could be that intellectual disability. That is one of the things that is really important for learning new things, being able to imitate. But imitation is really important, a really important skill for our kiddos to be able to grasp so that they can continue to learn different skills that they need throughout their life. But yeah, that question itself it's not a bad question. I think initially I wasn't aware of it. He got diagnosed with developmental delays, but I think a lot of our kiddos are diagnosed with developmental delays because it's part of the criteria for autism. Like if there's any delays, any speech delays, any cognitive delays, any all of those types of things. And my son was with that, and in that aspect, Christian got diagnosed with that. I think he got diagnosed with autism, intellectual disability, and ADHD when he was 8. So we got him reevaluated. And it's hard. The testing process is not easy, especially because he is nonverbal as well. So, and it's just a tricky thing, because I'm sure he can score better if the test was different, or if he knew the tester, you know what I mean? Like he's just going into a room with a random person and is asked all these questions or to do stuff. So that doesn't necessarily show me all that he can do. It just does give him that diagnosis. But I know that when I told this to his ABA provider in the past, she asked me, so like what kind of things are we supposed to do differently with his diagnosis? And really nothing is needing to change. It just means you have to probably set your expectations differently. Know that things are not going to be learned immediately the way that other kiddos might learn it, or even like set that time frame pretty far off. Like Christian takes a while to pick up on things, but when he does, it's amazing, we just have to have that mindset that it takes a while for him. Visuals, supposedly, I saw online that those help a lot, and they do help Christian. So I don't know why I said supposedly, but they do help Christian. And gestures, maybe changing the way that a target is written. So like mastery would be like if he can do something with just gestural prompting. All of those things would be helpful. But yeah, to answer the question, my son does take forever to learn things because of his intellectual disability. On top of the other comorbidities that he has, like ADHD, that his attending is not the best, and it's gotten way better though. But in the past, when he was younger, and they do say the younger they are, the better for learning things. When he was younger, he could not sit still, he could not attend. It was really hard. Recently now, I find it a lot easier for him to kind of like sit down and do certain things for an X amount of time, which, you know, it's part of growing. Us as humans, we're evolving, we're learning, and Christian, of course, is human, and he's doing the same thing, you know. It would suck if he was stuck in one thing forever, or one way forever. So he's also growing and thriving. In that regard, I don't know if Christian will ever be able to live by himself, or how much of an independent life he'll live. When I sit down and think about it, like in detail, sometimes it does make me a little sad, but not too much anymore. When I was younger, or when he was younger, when we were both younger, I feel like I had like a standard that I thought life needed to be. And I've adjusted my viewpoint, and I've adjusted our life plans. And now when we talk about in the future, Hugo and I have always been like, we're going to travel the world when we're older. Now we just say, you know, like, everybody's welcome to go with us. We already know that Christian's going to be riding shotgun with us. Like, we imagine our life differently, and we're very happy with that. Like, we never imagined him in a living facility. God forbid, like, if that ever happened, then we would figure stuff out. But like, we always picture him with us, all of us living a happy life, even with like the assistance that he needs, maybe with some assistance from like different providers or things like that, you know what I mean, like in a different light. Like, I can't even begin to grasp what our life will look like when he's older, but at the same time I can grasp certain aspects of it, because he looks so much older that it does feel like he's already leaning towards adults, even though he's only 10. You know, technically we still have 8 more years before he's technically an adult, but those years fly. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with this video. I think I was just going to talk about that. And I also made a video earlier about this whole topic, but I was talking about learning disabilities instead of intellectual disability, and it threw off my whole video. So I was like, let me redo it, because learning disabilities are different than intellectual disabilities here in the United States, and they have different meanings per se, you know what I mean? So yeah, there's never a problem with asking questions also. Like, I don't mind questions if they're respectful, and I always try to approach them the way that how it makes sense to me and how it matters to me. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know if your kiddos have intellectual disabilities as well, if you guys feel comfortable with doing that or not, and how that affects their life, because it all kind of like meshes together for me, in the sense of like his autism and his intellectual disability. I just know that to me now, I'm understanding that makes it just a little bit harder for him to learn those important things that he needs to learn.